All right, good morning, John Adams, 8th grade science. Today, we are going to be putting all 6 steps of the scientific method to the test. I'm going to give you an example of what it looks like to put the scientific method to the test, and then Mr. Nettleton and I are going to demonstrate it, and then we're going to have you guys perform your own experiment, start to finish. You're going to ask a question, step 1. You're going to do some observations and research, step 2. You're going to make a hypothesis, step 3. You're going to design your experiment, step 4. You're going to collect data, step 5. And the last step, you're going to draw a conclusion based on the data that you collected. So that's the goal for today, is we're going to walk you through designing your own experiment, start to finish. Catch you in just a little bit with what's going on. All right, welcome back, guys. Here's the deal. How many of you play ball? You can put your hand up in the air. That's okay. We understand that I won't be able to see you. I'm on the TV, obviously. But if you've ever played outfield, I know your coach has yelled something at you. Every coach in the world yells this at their kids when they play the outfield. When that ball is coming to them in the air and they put their glove up to make the catch, what's the first thing that coach yells at you? He yells, "Catch it with 2 hands." I've been a coach for 18 years, coach softball. For 18 years, I've yelled at every girl who's put her hands up in the air to catch a ball. Use 2 hands. But the other day, I was sitting around and I was watching a professional baseball game, and I did notice, observation, I did notice that the outfielders were catching it with 1 hand. So this led me to a question, and this is an honest question. It led it to me that question: is it better to catch with 1 or 2 hands? As a coach, I've always said 2 hands, but yet I just watched a professional athlete use 1 hand. So for my first step, ask a question. My question is it better to catch with 2 hands or 1 hand? So I go to step 2 now, and I'm thinking about this. Step 2, I need to do some research. So I start watching a whole bunch of different baseball games, professional levels, Cubs, Cardinals, Twins, White Sox. We're 2-handed, and then we should be teaching all kids to catch with 2 hands. So my experiment is very simple, is to set up a distance, throw a ball at my partner, let him catch it, and then I got to record that. So I need to record the number of times he catches it in a data table. And that's going to give us an idea of data collection, because we need to make that comparison. 1-handed, 2-handed, number of catches, number of catches. I can look at those numbers and I can draw a conclusion, which is true or false. And that's what we're going to be doing for you. So in just a minute, Mr. Nettleton and I are going to start playing catch, and we're going to run through this lab. Before we do that, I'm going to show you how I set this up. And so what I have here is my experiment. So for instance, my question is, does catching with 2 hands increase your chance of hanging on to a ball? Hypothesis: if I throw a ball, and by the way, the hypothesis is right here. If I throw a ball to my partner 10 times, they catch it with 1 hand, and then I throw a ball to my partner 10 times, they catch it with 2 hands, then the number of catches with 2 hands will be higher than the number of catches. All right, that is my hypothesis. Now, right here is my experiment, and that is stand 4 meters from your partner, toss the ball underhand to them 10 times. In this case, they'll catch the egg. We kind of have ball, egg. We ran different experiments through this. But here is my step-by-step instructions that tell me what I'm going to do. And then as I do this, I'm going to record. Let's say it's 9. Let's say it's 8. Or let's say 10 and 10. All of this is going to give me information. And then at the end, you're going to write a conclusion. Now, Mr. Nettleton and I are going to run through this entire lab for you step by step. We will show you what we're doing. We'll show you how we record it in the data table. Give us just a second to set up. And once we are set up, you should be able to watch us run through the lab, and then we'll fill out the data table, because this is what you're going to be doing on your own over the next couple days. We'll see you in just a couple minutes. All right, guys, we're about ready for the experiment to start. If you will remember, as we're working on this, what we're doing for our procedure here is we're going to stand 4 meters from our partner. We're going to toss the ball to them underhand 10 times. And it's important that we keep how we're throwing the same. So when I wrote this, it's very important that we stay underhand 10 times. My partner's going to catch the egg with one hand. And then we're going to record those, how many I catch right here, how many my partner catches right here. Then we're going to toss the ball underhand 10 times again. They're going to catch it with 2 hands. And then we're going to record the numbers in these boxes over here. Now remember, when you catch it with one hand, you have to catch it with the same hand every time. That's another control. So we got to make sure everything stays as similar as possible throughout all this. And then we'll come back and we'll fill this out as your example. So I want you to do, while we're doing this, I would like you to have this document open as well, so that you can just fill them in ahead of time. And then you can check with what we put in when we're done making our tosses. So here's what we're going to do. The first thing it says to do is measure 4 meters apart. Now, we can measure 4 meters. If you have one of these at home, it's really easy. This is a meter stick. If you don't, you can put it into feet. That's okay. But 4 meters is about 10 feet. So the easiest way to do 10 feet is to basically look at your shoe. If you wear a size 11, that's generally a 11-inch shoe. So you give yourself a little bit and be close. So if I'm going to throw from right here, I wear a size 12, makes it easy for me. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can get out to our mark just by counting how many steps I'm going to take. It doesn't really matter how far you throw. You want it far enough that people actually have to catch. If we were to stand this close, this isn't much of a challenge. So stand farther back. It doesn't matter, just as long as it's the same spot. So put a mark on the floor. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to toss the ball to Mr. Nettleton 10 times. He's going to catch it with one hand, and I'm going to ask him, what hand do you want me to throw to?
Left hand.
Left hand. So I'm going to throw it underhand toward his left hand, because it's not fair if I throw it way over here. That's not a fair throw, but it does count as a miss. So if you throw bad and your partner drops it, it's still a miss. So make sure you're making good throws. And here's how it looks when we do this, because we're going to do it together. So I'm going to throw it towards him. He's 1 for 1.
Left or right hand?
Right hand.
Okay.
1 for 1. 2 for 2. Oops. Well, yeah. See, it doesn't matter what you throw, but make sure it's not breakable, because my little egg here just broke. So I am 1 for 2, catching it with one hand. All right. And we're going to go a little faster now, so we don't eat up your time. So he's 2 for 2. I'm 1 for 2. Oh, 2 for 3. 2 for 3. 3 for 4. 3 for 4. 4 for 5. 4 for 5. 5 for 6. 5 for 6. 6 for 7. 6 for 7. 7 for 8. Oh! And now I count it as a miss. So I'm now 6 for 8. He's 7 for 8. All right. 7 for 8. 8 for 9. 7 for 9. 9 for 10. 8 for 10. So what I'm going to do now is come over to my sheet. And I am quickly going to put this in on the information. So with a one-hand catch, I was 8 out of 10. And you can just write, if you want, you can just write the 8, because guess what? In your procedure, it says we're throwing it 10 times, so you don't have to write that down. Mr. Nettleton was 9 for 10. Now, to get the average, you add these two together. So 8 plus 9 is 17. And then we divide it by the total number of items. Here's item 1, here's item 2, so we got to divide it by 2. And 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. All right, now we're going to do this, and we're going to do the same thing, only this time we're going to catch it with 2 hands. So let me go back, and here we go. And we're going to move faster on this one. As 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, and 10. So we're both 10 for 10 on this one. So we go back to our form, and you guys should have had this already. 10, 10, which means if we add 10 and 10 together, 10 plus 10 is 20. You divide that by 2 for the average, that gives us 10. And this is really important. What does this data tell us about this hypothesis? Well, it says, we said that the number of catches with 2 hands will be higher. Were we true? Is that statement true or is that statement false? Well, that statement is, my hypothesis is true. And then the next part is, remember this is always 2 parts, because 2 hands was 10 and 1 hand was 8.5 catches. And that's how you do a scientific procedure, guys. All right. This is really what we're looking at on this one, is that's doing a full scientific method to answer a question. So for your project, and you'll have Tuesday, Wednesday to do this, I'm going to ask that you do this again with a partner, do it on your own, but I want you to test something different. And I'll show you the setup here in a second, but I want you to think right now, what could you test throwing something that would be different? It's got to be a comparison. For instance, how about, we compared 1 hand versus 2 hands. How about 1 eye open versus 2 eyes open? How about standing on 2 feet versus standing on 1 foot? How about throwing a small object versus throwing a large object? You need to pick something unique, find somebody in your family or a neighbor or a friend at school and do this lab. Here's what it looks like. Oops, hang on. Here's what it looks like. So you have a page 2 to that document that we just filled out. And so what I want you to do with a partner is I want you to investigate some other thing that might affect how you catch. And you need to fill out this stuff down here. Now, if you don't know what to fill out, you're not sure what it's supposed to look like, what I want you to do is go back to this one, because this is an exact match. If you do it just the way we did in part 1, you do your part 2, this part the exact same way, you'll get a perfect score on this. But I want you to run through the whole process, put in your data, right, or find your question. Then I want you to write your hypothesis. And again, if you don't know how to write it, look at part 1. Then I want you to write out step by step what you're going to do. If you don't know what to do, look at part 1. Then I want you to make data, collect a little data table. You don't know what to do, look at part 1, and then write a conclusion. That is your assignment for the next 2 days. Just as an FYI, I'll put this out as an announcement. You'll take your first test Wednesday after this is done. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, guys, and enjoy your break.